the idea there. And the other reason I put this up are some of you aren't up to these releases yet. You're going to go back and go, where's this at? You have to be on FACS at least 7.8, SX 3.1, and what is it on the A+, Dave?
Trending is in 10.00.01.
And what's the version before trending? 9 something, I take it?
8.4.
So 8.4, and if you're in the A+, who's my A+ user? I know there's another company or two here. Okay, from the A+ side, at least 8.4 to start seeing the AIM things. Then we get talking about seasonality. If you have any seasonality, Dave's talking about release 10 is what brought seasonality. 10.004? 001. To kick us off, any ideas? AWOA. Awareness without action is worthless. You are going to become aware of a lot of things over the next 3 days. Whether you're in executive management and things that we're putting out to your people and the tools and how we're doing things, or whether you're at the firing line, you will definitely become aware of a lot of things over this next 3 days. If you go back next Monday, just sit back down and go back to work in the normal fashion, all of this will be worthless, okay? There has to be some actions. And what I tell folks is take 2 or 3 things back with you that you plan on. You're going to have a list of 20 things, everyone. You will. But prioritize that, and when you get back on Monday, you can't wait a month. It's like savings. Oh, whatever's left of the check, I'll put in savings. How much gets put in savings? Nothing. And you go, oh, when I get time, I'll come back and review some of this stuff and get it going that we saw last week. You're going to have to build time in for it. I would get back next week with a 2 or 3 point objective and say, we're going to go hit this and start right away while we have the momentum going. Awareness without action is worthless. Anything we need to talk about or I missed before we get going? All right. Company objectives. We've already talked a little bit about it here this morning. So let's just get started, and we're going to spend some time on the big picture company objectives. And then again, we're going to bring the inventory model into it. But anything in your company you should be able to bring back to these objectives, whether it's your, what do we really do as a distributor? Let's start there. I say we do 3 things. We procure, we warehouse, and we sell. Wow, that really oversimplifies it, Grant. Our business is running crazy. But what do? We procure inventory. We warehouse inventory, and we sell it. Now, a lot of you are starting to mix into more value add, adding value to things, even some assembly, light assembly, even maybe moving into the manufacturing world more. But overall, procure, warehouse, add some value, sell inventory. If we shore up those 3 areas, procurement, warehousing, and how we sell, what's going to happen to our organization? It's going to firm up as well and come together as a team. Everyone understanding that? So again, we're going to talk about the objectives of how to bring in procurement, warehouse. Looking for a seat here? Yeah. I'm going to keep that one open because it'll block the projector. Who has a seat next to him? I think there's, how about just one back for me? Perfect. Welcome. Where I'm going with this is we're going to talk about 3 big company objectives. No matter where you're at in your organization, whether you're the president, CEO, or you're the newest hire, Bill, in receiving that just got 3 hours of training from Frank. Everyone remember Bill? No matter where you're at in the company, somehow what you're doing needs to equate back to these 3 objectives and help feed to them. I work with a lot of companies. I'll go in and they'll tell me all about something they're in the middle of, whether it's in the procurement world, whether it's in the warehouse world, whether it's in the sales world or the value add. And I go, well, how's that helping customer experience? You know, yeah, we don't know. We're not really sure. How's that helping profitability? We're not really sure how it's helping profit. How's that helping support growth? We're not really sure. What do you think my next question is to them? Why are we doing that? We're doing a lot of things in our company that we really don't understand how it's feeding back to the big picture, and it's not. I always step back and say, what's it doing for profitability? What's it doing for customer experience? What's it doing for growth? Is it balanced? If not, let's make sure it's feeding that. Let's balance, or let's stop doing it. So let's talk about these 3 things. Which one you want to talk about first? Customer experience, since that came up first? What's important to our customers? Let's start here. And these are your company objectives, everyone. This is what your company, your customers are looking at, deciding what? Did they do well enough on today's order that when they're picking up the phone tomorrow, whether they're getting in the email to send off an order, whether they're sending an EDI, whether they're getting in a vehicle, they're a contractor and coming to your place, they're thinking about how we did on the last order. And if we didn't do a good enough job, what happens? They go right on by our place, they put in a different email, they call a different number, however you're getting the orders, and it goes off to your competition. Now, if you're not a believer of this, anyone in the procurement world, we are customers of our vendors, and everything we're going to talk about, you're going, oh, this is all the same thing that we want from our vendors. If your vendor's not giving you what? What's the number one first thing that we look at, we want from our vendors? A decent service, a good fill rate. Do they have the product when we need it? Same thing your customers are looking for. So the first thing we're going to talk about is fill rate or availability. Now, what are we talking about here? Okay, customer comes in and orders 9 of something. Okay, I'm sorry, they order 10 of something. Had to think about that for a second. And we only have 9. So they want 10, we have 9. Even though you can't, I know I'm getting you awake this morning, you're still asleep because you're going, I talk about fill rate all the time or availability, but when I ask what it is, so let's make sure we understand. What's my fill rate on this? Going to hear 2 answers out there. And I'll add a third one to it in a moment. 90% fill rate, 9 out of 10. They wanted 10, we gave them 9, so we got 90% of what they needed. Some are going to come back and say 0. What's the difference in these two? And why measure? Well, let's talk about if we were measuring fill rate. A lot of you aren't, but if you are, if you're measuring fill rate, because we don't want to measure just to measure. Just have a number on a report. If it's not doing something for us, don't measure it. It needs to be a tool. So what are we trying to measure? What are we trying to capture when we look at our customer fill rate?
100% of their business.
Well, 100% of their business, but what are we really trying, that bigger picture? You're on. In my mind, we're trying to capture the customer's happiness. Were they happy enough with our last order, our orders before that, to keep giving us their business? I call it the pulse of the customer's happiness. That's what we're trying to measure when we start measuring this. Are they happy enough that they're coming back to us for the price we're charging, or are they looking for a different source? So now, let's talk about this for a second. Your systems measure all of these. It's just which one you pick. This is called a quantity fill rate. How many did they have? How many they want? Quantity fill rate, 9 out of 10, 90%. This is called a line item, ship complete. Either did it or you didn't. They wanted 10. If you had 10, it's 100%. Anything less than 10 is a 0. Let's take that back to what we're trying to measure. We're trying to really determine, is that customer happy enough that they're giving us tomorrow's order? Now, there are some customers that came in and they ordered 9 or 10. We only had 9, and it was no big deal. They really needed 5 for today, and the 5 were extra. So it didn't shut down anything. They were okay. So we don't really know that, but they're probably okay. There's another one of those. Let's say it's a contractor, though. All right? Let's say you're remodeling your house. All right? And it's the last day, and the contractor's coming. You're this electrical contractor, and he's putting the wall plates, the final part. He gets to put the wall plates on, get the final inspection. Why is this contractor's favorite day? It's payday, right? All right, so in the contractor's mind, what? Hey, I gotta go over and just put some wall plates on. The inspector's gonna be there at 11 o'clock. No big deal. Hey, I'm gonna call my brother and we're gonna what? I'll be off by noontime. We might as well take advantage of it. And what else do contractors like to do? I know you're thinking drink beer, but it goes with it. Let's go golfing, all right? So he calls into his favorite place, gets a 12 o'clock tee-off time. Life's great. He's drive off. He needs 10 of these plates. He gets to the distributor. He orders 10. They come back and they go, oh, we have 9 of the 10 that you need today, Mr. Customer. How happy is he right now? Is he 90% happy? He's not happy at all, because now he's got to go somewhere else. because he needs 10 of these plates to get the inspection, he needs 10 of them to get the check to move on. Now he's driving around looking for the other one. He realizes he's going to get there an hour late. He's going to have to change his tee-off time till 1 o'clock, he calls. We don't have a 1 o'clock tee-off. We're full for the day. Uh-oh, it's getting worse. You guys with me? Now, the point is this. We don't know if that contractor needed all 10 today, or if 9 would have been good enough and he really only needed 9 and 1 was extra. But if we're not sure, which way would I prefer to measure? I'd rather say we missed it and they may be going somewhere else, rather than saying, hey, we got 90% chance they're coming back. You get to pick which one, but most companies today will measure line item shipped complete. All right? Now, let's keep talking about this for a little bit. Fill rate, what should it be? What should it be? And what are your numbers? And we'll combine these. A lot of you, if you go back, you run it, and you go, hey, Grant, it says 98.8 or some number. And you look at it and you get really happy. You go, wow, we weren't measuring this. We learned about this from Grant. We came back and ran it. Look how good we're doing. Then you're off thinking about it and you're going, something's not right. The report's broken. Because reality starts coming to your mind and you're going, God, that says for every 100 lines, stock items that we ship out of our company, 99 of them we're going out and picking complete first try. You guys with me? Out of 100 lines, and all of a sudden you're going, I wish, but we're not that good. And you say, the report's broken. The report's not broken. The report works on every one of your systems right. What's wrong with it?
The data you put in?
It's the data, because what happens often? Customer comes in, they want 10, we only have 9. Mr. Customer, do you want a back order? No, I don't have time. Remember, he's got to get off, so he's not back ordering it. So he's only taking the 9. And what will I watch your folks do all the time? They come over here because they've talked this already through before they put it on. So now they tell us, customer wanted 9. We delivered 9. What's my fill rate on that? 100%. Look at the smiles. I see them. So here we are. We're going, wow, look at our fill rate. Aren't we awesome? Wait a minute, isn't that my customer driving? They're passing us up. What's going wrong? It's the data we put in. You have to capture what the customer wanted, not what we happen to have for them. Making sense with everyone? Now there's a second nastier thing with this when we do this. Not only does it give us an incorrect fill rate, what else does it do? Next week, contractor comes back. He's got a similar job. He needs 10 wall plates. How many did sales tell us to bring in for this customer? 9. So if we always put on the system what we happen to have that day for the customer rather than what they wanted, what are we going to have next week when they come back in? What we happened to have last week, not what they wanted. This is what we call lost business. And again, I come into this backwards for a reason. We want a good fill rate measurement, but also we're capturing usage for lost business so we know what to bring in. How many companies today are capturing lost business for their customers, the true demands of their customers rather than what they happen to have on the shelf? One more time. It's getting better. Anytime you start doing that, did it help?
We just started doing it, yeah, it's helping a lot.
I mean, it starts feeding in because everyone that's not in purchasing thinks what? Oh, they've got this crystal ball, right? They've got this crystal ball to know what how many are actually in purchasing? Because I like that. They're going, yeah, look how fast the hands go up because we're on this story with the crystal ball. They're getting in there and they're smiling. But don't they? They think we've got this crystal ball that if we can put in a bunch of crap data, we can put in a bunch of crap parameters, but yes, yet our system, we just spent $1 million or $500,000. It's got this magic black button and we should be able to push it and it fixes everything. Technology just speeds up what you feed into it, all right? So again, we'll talk about lost sales later, but that's how you get a stellar customer experience. Good fill rate. How much do we have out of the customer wants? And let's go back and address one question before we leave it. What is a good fill rate? Where should you be? There's a couple things that would determine that. First thing's what? You have to determine whether you want to be lowest price or stellar customer experience at a fair price. If you want to be stellar customer experience at a fair price, not be in a price war with your competition, then it has to be a distinct fill rate above your competition, so we bring customers in. So if your competition's at 95, we want to be at 96 or 97%. So that's the first thing. We want to be better than your competition to create a distinctive look that we're better. Everyone there? That's the first one. What if all of your competition's only at 70%? Well, I'll be a 75% fill rate. We've become a global economy. You have to look farther than that. They will find a better source. Most customers today, you should be able to get at least a 95 or 96% fill rate out of your company. All right? So again, now that's the min for most of you. You should be at an overall 95, 96. Many of you need to be at this 98 in particular industries. It depends on what industry you're in. How many have fill rate objectives? There can't be too many because you're not too many we're measuring. But again, there should be a goal out there, and we should be measuring it, and it should be a reasonable goal, and we should be working towards that goal. Now, just so I don't forget to tell you, later we're going to talk about items, breaking them down. Not all items are equal. There's this item that they come in once a year for, this D item. It cost $1 million. They didn't expect us to have that on the shelf. It would have been nice, but they planned in time to get that. Everyone with me? So that's not the one we're talking. We'll probably get an 80 or 85% fill rate on Ds. What about A items, though? That's the stuff they expect to give you the order and you to ship out in the quantities they want. So where I'm going with that is many of you may have to need a 98 on A's, maybe a 95 on B's, a 90 on C's, an 80 on D's. It's going to average out to this, but we're very distinctful today to start breaking our inventory down and looking at it accordingly with different objectives. Everyone good? Let me hand you this mic.
It seems to me, though, is this on?
Yeah, on up back there? Yep.
It seems to me that you can have too high a fill rate, though, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you ship 100% of what the customer wants, then your inventory is way too high. Yes?
It depends again. Here's where I'm at. There's an industry out there. So again, it's where I was going. It depends on your industry. There's an industry out there, and all of you will be familiar. They drive for a 99.9, and it's needed. It's demanded. Any ideas what industry? The medical supply world. Think about that. All right. My dad, it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago, had a heart attack. And he went in, he had to have surgery the next day. What if they would have called down and go, oh, well, we're back ordered on 3 of the things that you need for the surgery. It'll be in 2 weeks. You with me? So that's always brings the point home. Some industries, 80% might be the fill rate. You want to be better than your competition and better than what your customers can find if you want to drive on customer experience. Other industries, it's here. But now what's the difference here? Let's make sure and bring that up. Most of you are probably running between the 20 and 30% margins, gross margin, maybe some 40s. So it starts to dictate how much I can carry in inventory. What's the margin in the medical supply world? 200 to 300%, because they know they're going to sit on some of this stuff for 6, 8, 10 years before it gets used. What's the turns in the medical industry? Less than 1. Where a lot of you are going for 4, 5, 6, 7. So those two come together. Is that a fair way to answer it, Charlie?
Yeah,
thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So we want a good fill rate. We need to put on the system what the customer wants, not what we happen to have, to capture a good fill rate, but more importantly, to capture the right usage. Fill rate is our pulse to the customers, the first part of our report card in the customer's mind of, is that where I'm going back to, or do I need to find a different source? What's the next customer experience? There's 5 of them that I want to talk about today. On-time delivery. So we have a good fill rate. Are we getting to them on time? Now some of them personally go, well, that's not us, that's operations. But when we move into your specials and non-stocks, we're giving a date to the customers of when to expect that, and who's the first one to help bring that in? Our replenishment world. And hey, they didn't give a reasonable date. How many of you, if I go out there, you don't have any clue, your salespeople in OE, how to give a good date for the customer. Every time there's a back order, they what? Have some type of canned answer. 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, and they're not even looking. Well, it's a 30-day lead time. How are you going to pull that off in 7 days? Oh, we only order from the vendor once a month to get freight. Does the customer want to pay freight or not? So it starts with a good date out of OE, but then are we out there meeting that date? And our part in purchasing is on the non-stocks and specials, but in overall, the whole company's on-time delivery. So that's the second thing that your customers are looking for. What's the next thing they're looking for? Accuracy. Did we ship them the right product, the right quantity, at the right price? Now, where does all this start? Starts in entry, correct? We have to enter it right. In OE, whoever's entering that, do we have the right product, quantity, and price? Then we have to go out, and if there's anything that needs to be brought in, did we bring in the right things? And then our warehouse has to get it shipped out. Did they pick the right product and quantity? How many measure this? Because you can measure this every day by credits. How many are coming back as internally caused credits? You can start taking a look and seeing what is your accuracy of your order entry, picking, shipping, and invoicing. Now, these three together, I'm going to go up with these three together over the last probably 5 or 6 years. There's a term getting coined out there. Some companies are using it, some not, called the perfect order. And again, if you're on the sales side, think of your customers. If you're on the procurement side, think of what you're wanting from your vendors. It's the same thing. Did they have what I wanted? Did they get it to me on time? And was it accurate? If I can get a check on all three of those, that's what we would call the perfect order. I'll hit companies that have a great fill rate, but they're always late. Great fill rate on time, but the order's always inaccurate. We picked it wrong. It takes all three of these to come together to create the perfect order. Good fill rate, on-time delivery, and accuracy. Then I want to add 2 more things onto this. Issue resolution. And again, this isn't all purchasing, but this is the whole idea is to set the big picture for us today. You're going to go back and ask sales. They need to do other things, lost sales. You're going to ask warehouse. We need to look at dates and use dates properly. All right? Issue resolution. When our customers do have an issue, something didn't go right, they need technical help, they need to ship something back, can they call you once and get it resolved, or they have to call 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 different people, they become the reminder, and a month later they're finally getting it resolved? And anyone that's been on either side knows what I'm talking about. When you have an issue in personal life, because all this applies back to people, and you have to call, you have to wait, you call back a week later, no, we didn't even know about this. You know what I'm talking about. That will kill you. If you have a good issue resolution, stream these up so we don't have them very often, but when we do have an issue, that they can call us once, it gets to the right person, and it gets resolved in a timely fashion, you would be absolutely amazed. I work with many companies that aren't perfect, all right, and I still stay with them because no company's perfect, so now it's which one can resolve it the best and keep me moving. Time is money. And then the last one. At a fair price. Now notice what I did not put there. What did I not put there? The lowest priced. Many of you, especially in the sales side, think we've got to be the lowest price to get the business. I have bought these projectors that I'm using today. I've bought many of these projectors over the years. And at first, the internet came out back in the 90s. And I said, this is the best tool ever. So what did I use the tool for first? The internet. It can find the best price. Everyone with me? Boy, I was on it. And I got out there and I found an Optima, and the normal price was around $1,300, and I found one for $900. Same model, $900. What a great deal, right? Ordered that projector, got it back, couldn't figure out how to get it to work right. Pick up the phone and call. An hour later, finally get a hold of something. I hear them flipping through manual. Remember, this is back in the 90s with the internet, first one. Flipping through the manual. 2 hours later, we're still flipping through the manual together. You guys with me? I saved $400, but did I really save $400? It was a very valuable lesson. The internet became a tool not long after that I used it for something else. I still watched price, but what did the internet become for me? I watched stars. Everyone see the difference? I looked at the company and how they resolved issues and whether it was a good company. And my next one, I didn't pay the list price of the $12.95. I think I found it for $11.95. So I still paid $200 or $300 more than I did a couple years later, but I still bought it because the company was very good at issue resolution. Had an issue, I called them, they go, oh, that's Joe that you need. They actually asked for the model number. They said, that's Joe. Took me to Joe. He listened, you could hear. He knew that projector. 3 minutes later, I was on my way. It had already paid for itself. Everyone following this analogy? You fit into the same world. Your customers fit into the same world. If you have a distinction here, fill rate, on-time delivery accuracy, and issue resolution over your competition, you can charge a fair price. And it doesn't have to be the lowest price. And your customers will know, we're going to talk about it in a minute, they're actually paying 2 cents higher. If you're not a believer in this, go talk to your purchasing people, because I can tell you most of them right now today have some commodity stuff that they go, oh, we pay $1 for this. Yeah, but they offer it for 98 cents. How come you're not buying from? Oh, no. Stay away from them. You guys with me? Even though they're 98 cents and it looks better up front, the amount of follow-up, the amount of inaccuracy, the amount of problems we have, in the end, it costs us $1.10, where the 98 cent or the dollar vendor, because they're clean, only costs us $1.05 in total procurement cost. Everyone there? Your customers also understand that. Now, you have to have that distinction. If you're the same as your competition, fill rate, on-time delivery, and accuracy, and they feel you're the same, will you be able to charge the lowest price or a fair price at that point? If you're the same, there's no distinction. You just happen to carry the same product they do, and there's no distinction in your fill rate, there's no distinction in your on-time delivery, and there's no distinction in your accuracy. Then your customers are going to naturally go for what? The lowest price. You have to make that distinction. Anything here you'd like to talk about? We're going to use that a lot over the next 3 days, because you will see me often when we, all the way up here at the big picture, all the way down to the detail. We're getting ready to cut a PO. We're going to come back and talk about how is this helping fill rate? How is this helping profitability? And what's the right answer? It's going to feed in to help us get the right answers from here on out. Everything will be based on it. Okay. So we want to offer a good customer experience. What's another objective that we need to try to accomplish within our organizations? Why are we here? Why did your company take the time to send you here, spend the money, put you on a flight to bring you here? What's another objective we're trying to accomplish? Profitability. So now, on the profitability side, we sell it for $1.25. Our cost of goods sold was $1, so we get this 25 cents. Now, when we're talking about profitability, is that the 25 cents that we're talking about? That's part of it, but we're not there yet. What's this 25 cents? That's our gross margin, all right? So again, we paid $1 to our supplier. We sold it to $1.25. We got 25 cents, and now here's the whole hope. We've got to get that item in. We had to warehouse it, and we had to sell it and get it delivered and invoice them and collect the money. And we hope that it what? Costs less than 25 cents to pull all of that off, that there's something left. Everyone there? That's what we're talking about. What's left when we're done? Now, what do we have to pay out of this 25 cents? I like to break it into 3 main groups. What was the one I heard? Okay, I'll do it. First one, freight. Now, there are 3 types of freight within our organization. We have inbound freight to bring product from our suppliers to us. We have outbound freight to take product from us to our customers. Sometimes they're paying, sometimes not. And we